Hello and welcome to the 2019 Canadian Curling Club Championships. We are live and here for the medal games now. It's been a great week of curling as it's all come down to this. Our feature will be the women's final. That will be Nova Scotia versus the Alberta rink, as they bring the teams out here with the bagpipe procession as they all get lined up and ready to play. Other games going on, the women's bronze medal game, Quebec versus Yukon, the men's bronze game of Northern Ontario versus Yukon, and the men's gold between Quebec and Ontario. So they'll line up here and get ready to play. We also see the hardware out on the ice as they'll be playing for those medals, the banners, the trophy, and of course, national champions.
National bragging rights.
Take a moment to introduce our teams now from our feature from Team Alberta. We have Skip Nanette DuPont, third Kendra Nakagama, second Samantha Davies, and lead Avis DeKalver.
And from Team Nova Scotia, they're from the CFB Halifax Curling Club. We have Skip Tanya Phillips, third Heather Whiteway, second Angela Petapes, and lead Christine Ketty.
We'll be introducing the teams. Yeah, so excellent week of curling so far, and we've seen just some wonderful shots between all our feature games and all of the other games on the ice. Really just wonderful stuff all week long. All these teams coming out, of course, from their semifinals earlier. On our feature sheet, those are, of course, the teams that won theirs, and the teams that lost those games now playing in the bronze medal games. They finish the playing of the national anthem there as they introduce all the teams down on the ice. It's an exciting moment. The whole week's led up to this, really, especially for these teams in the final, but certainly all these teams now with a chance to medal, and really a bit of a dream come true here, especially to be playing in the final.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ice is yours. Good luck and good curling.
These teams now will they shake hands and get ready for their game now. So it is Alberta that will have the hammer in the first end, and they'll be throwing the yellow stones, the hammer predetermined. Both these teams in the final would have had the chance to select rocks from across the sheets of their respective colors, so it'll be interesting to see if they've made any adjustments to the rocks, if they've noticed anything throughout this week, and any inconsistencies or any trends in some of the rocks, whether some of them might be curling a little bit more or anything like that. So I've been watching out for that.
I think they've all had a chance to play on this ice, so they should all have a good grasp of what it's going to do, and with all the practice as well before the game. So I think it should be a very, very highly contested game.
Nova Scotia, one of the few teams this hasn't played on this sheet, and so, but certainly the ice has been consistent across this week. We've seen between 3.5 to 4.5 feet of curl for the most part, and so certainly they will have had the chance to practice, and that'll certainly help them feel a little bit more comfortable in this first end, knowing some of the paths. And one of the most interesting things about this sheet to note, sheet A here, is that once you throw some heavy weight out past the 4 foot, stones really don't want to come back on you, so you do have to be careful if you're playing bigger weight there. First rock now will slide, see if it'll hang on. It's close.
Lighter.
Might just be in there, so I think we'll just hang on at the back. Oh, no, they're kicking it away now, so deciding that it is over the line. First end, of course, always need to try and get that weight underneath you at first to draw. Not uncommon to see a little bit off either way, so.
It's always interesting to see the strategies in the first end. Some teams prefer just to play for a blank in the first end, but some people like to throw lots of rocks in play, and that way all the different shots get played real quick and you get comfortable very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Feature game last night on this sheet was with Quebec, and they were playing New Brunswick. That was the men's game, and Quebec looked like they had hammer in the first end and looked like they'd be going for a blank, but all of a sudden they had forced New Brunswick skip Jeff Lacey to throw a stone out a little farther than he had expected, and wasn't able to bring it back for him, and so out of nowhere able to find two. So opportunities present themselves all the time, even up into the very last rock of the end, even when it looks like it'll be a blank. So certainly even if an end is fairly straightforward, that can always change with just one stone.
Absolutely.
Last of the lead stones for this end.
Another thing we've noticed over the week is shots coming off the center line. They've really curled, so we're going to have to watch for that to see if the sweepers can really keep them straight.
Yes, you see one going down this path right now. They're doing a good job here, though, as they'll get rid of the stone. Nothing in the rings at the moment, so Alberta with the hammer here in the first has the opportunity to put a stone wherever they'd like to. This one will finish up just near the tee line there, so nice draw weight. Good to feel that draw weight out in the first end. Certainly will help you later on if you can try and get a lock and get close on that early on. Hit and roll over to the back of the forefoot. So far, quite an open end, and likely we'll be looking at a blank here. We'll keep you updated on all of the other medal games going on here at the Curling Club Championships, but all of the scores can be found at curling.ca/scoreboard. And we'll just roll out of the ring, so open house now, and so now a chance for Nova Scotia to practice their draw weight. Been a busy week so far here in the Leduc Recreation Centre, not only with this Canadian Curling Club Championship, but also the Canada Cup being played at the Sobeys Arena just across the centre, and top 7 men's and women's teams from across Canada now been narrowed down to just 3 teams, as right now semi-final action going on, and their finals will be played tomorrow.
Yeah, they've had some sold-out crowds there in the last couple days, so it's great to see the local community supporting a big curling event like this.
Yeah, it's been packed for both events so far, so really great to see that. Big prize here, of course, a national title, so certainly a lot on the line at the moment. And over on the Canada Cup, big prize there is a spot at the Olympic curling trials.
Let it work a bit if you can. Okay, go, man. Gotta get it here, girl. Really hard.
Big scrub on this one. They want this one in the rings, not wanting to leave guards in play. This one won't quite make it there. We'll see if Alberta makes the decision to just remove it or maybe try and draw underneath. Looks like they will be going underneath, so certainly a bit of an aggressive call here in the first end, but if they can get one buried, Chris, this could be a great result.
Yeah, I think they're just waiting for an opportunity like this to arise, and there it is. So let's see if they can take advantage of it.
Yeah, first end certainly, that's often when you can get a couple more chances early on. Stone here from Samantha Davies as the front end now will look to bring it into the rings. It's moving nicely. This one's about the weight. And it will be in, so not quite as deep as they wanted, but almost fully buried at the top 12 foot there, so certainly I think you can only see about a third, maybe even a little less, so.
Yeah, you got to make the choice. Either you go around and just make a better draw or play the run back. Looks like they're doing the draw.
Yeah, I think maybe just a little more comfortable with a draw in the first end. Certainly, I think that if you still have a couple stones and they do, not necessarily wanting to have to make that run back, those are always certainly tricky, never easy on those. And in the first end, if you're still trying to figure out some of the paths, especially around center where you can see some aggressive movement and sometimes not quite as much. So doesn't need to take this too far back. The only counter in the rings is just in the 12 foot, so even buried in the 8 would be a good result. Looking for top 4 here. First of the skip stones in this end from Nova Scotia.
Yep, keep it
a little light.
Yeah, this one's headed towards the guard. That little bump there actually does help out Alberta there. Those guards are now staggered, so it'd be, you certainly couldn't play a run back on those.
How deep would you want this one, do you think? Do you think you'd want it to even it up with the rock that's in the house right now, or go a little bit deeper?
I think if you could almost stagger underneath your own stone, half buried underneath their own yellow, in the 8 foot, I think would be a fantastic position. If it does go top 4, I mean, you're fully buried, so I think between the 8 and the top 4, not wanting to go behind the tee, that would give Nova Scotia an out to make a perfect freeze, and that would be problematic for Alberta. So the first of Alberta's skip stones now, Annette Dupont. Both these teams playing great all week. They had great round robin records, both of them, and so this will be a competitive one. This one looks maybe a touch warmer than some of the last ones, but if it moves over and it goes now, this could be a nice stone. It just needs to sit down.
Hang on.
So a little warm there, and that'll slide through the rings. And I thought that one might have a chance to hang on, but we've seen the back of the house. They're not quite digging in as much as they were maybe around the start of the week. The first couple draws, we saw it sort of hang on, but now fairly, it's been keen all week, but a little more at the back of the house as well now, not wanting to dig in the heels right at the end. So that one will slide through. Second chance for Nova Scotia now.
I think she should have a good feel for this one. She just threw on her last one the same shot, so I think she knows what she needs to do on this one.
Yeah, and her line wasn't that far off. That one was just light, so a little more weight actually should be just about right. Just needing the 8 foot here to count one.
That's way out there. Needs to start curling.
Yeah, they'll want to certainly be shot here is at least the priority, wanting to. Starts to move now. Not sure if it'll get buried, but it is.
It's coming in.
So is shot rock for the moment to actually, given how wide that looked about halfway down, that got a lot of movement. It isn't buried, but do have to be a little careful here. Can't get too tight to that guard. But it is just about able to see all of it, I think, so should be able to get close to nose, and that'll be for 2. So really nice weight there by Nova Scotia on their last one, just a little wide. Interested to see what this path does. We saw, even with the wide draw, that rock move in a lot at the end. See what it does with a little more weight.
I've just got a little bit of room to play with on the wing as well, so if she does not hit it right on the nose, she can roll a little bit.
Yeah, not throwing a ton of weight at this, so. This looks close, but I mean, they'll make contact. We'll see if it'll stick. And not quite, so that'll roll out. So it'll be just the 1 for Alberta here in the first. Close there. They got on it a little bit early. It looked maybe a bit tight. And I don't think they really backed it up too much, though. With that, they weren't on it for long. So maybe just a touch too much weight for the spot, I think, more so than the line there. I think just sort of didn't want to quite come back as it gets just to the outside edge of the 4 foot there.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll remember that for the next time that there's a shot similar to that. Just, yeah, with that weight, yeah, if it's really line sensitive, so you really want to key in on the weight to give it a chance to curl back if you are going to put it out there just that little bit.
Yeah, and that one was a little closer to a normal weight takeout. Maybe with that one, probably now knowing at least in that spot, next time probably looking to throw control.
That's right.
Really over curling. Really over curling. Get it tight.
So bring this in here for a center guard. Over curl just to off center line, but not too far off there. Still certainly quite usable.
Scotia looks like they want to come in, put the pressure on early, and see how Alberta reacts.
Let it work if you can. Let it work if you can. It's way out there.
Lots of room on this one, but it does start to move, certainly near the hog line. We'll see later in the game. We noticed last night that after we got through about the fourth end, they similar amount of curl, but they started to break earlier, about halfway down as opposed to the hog line. But right now it's around the hog that they'll start to get some aggressive movement. That one still a little bit wide, so can't see all of this. Like to get some roll if they could here, and they'll get a nice bit of it there.
Yeah. Even if Nova Scotia freezes on this, it's, Alberta will still be shot rock, so it's in a good spot.
And I think here just looking to play just a little bum, not needing to move it too far, and certainly want to keep their stone there in the top four. Gives them a good rock to use later on.
Still lots of line. Okay. Let it work. Might come nice here.
They have to go around it.
This will slide to back 8.
I think you're just trying to freeze one right on top of theirs.
Calling throw it just tight guard here, wanting to get a little separation but still leave no port between the guards. So looks like a good rock as it'll come
Yep, that'll work.
near the center line. So good rock there as it'll protect their stone. And Nova Scotia now will look to open up the center.
We've got some updates on the other games as well. In the first through one end, on the men's championship game, Ontario took 3 in the first end, so they're up 3-0. In the bronze medal game between Yukon and Northern Ontario took 3 as well, so they're up 3-0. And in the women's bronze medal game, Quebec took 2 in the first end over the Yukon.
So removing that stone there on the other side of center, but does not quite roll out with that one. So now those guards a bit staggered. So, but are usable for both teams. You could still get around there and get shot stone. It'd be a bit of a tight port between that one and the one in the top 4, but could get a good stone in still. Alberta will likely look just to cover this one up. This one's curling a lot.
Yeah, they might need to play just a bounce off their own yellow.
Gets a little bit of action, doesn't have too much movement. Good guard weight there, but needed a little more to get more off of the guard.
That's right.
But regardless, Nova Scotia will look to remove these here. Is a chance now to remove both and roll your shooter. We'll need some good weight, but certainly can be done.
Job well done.
Yeah, I'll remove both those yellow stones, and we'll roll their red a little bit off to the side. Alberta once again will look to cover this one up. Nice thing with those red guards still being around is that as long as you're really in between them, you should have pretty good coverage. Wouldn't leave a port.
get it across.
This one won't quite make it over, but good scrub there by the front end.
It's unfortunate. I think they thought it was fine, but halfway down they hadn't scrubbed it, and then they realized a little, uh-oh. I've been in that situation before.
Can be tricky with those guards as well. Certainly, you know, not wanting to have it deep with that one, if you slid in, would leave a pretty easy double, and so just got caught out a little bit. And haven't seen that many draws, or at least even guards along that path as well, so maybe a little slower.
Nice roll behind their own guard.
Yeah, it does still leave the Alberta Stone in play, but Nova Scotia Rock is shot and fully buried. So good result for them there. Sure would have liked to remove the yellow fully, but it's their own stone in a good spot. So the replay here as it just catches on their red, but still a good rock.
So choices here, you could either freeze, which is what they're calling, or you could peel the guard in front.
Looking to freeze this one on top of the buried red stone.
The line looks really good.
Yeah, this is
Gotta
close.
get it there.
They're by the guard. This is about weight now. So don't quite get it there. Really nice line. Just a little light.
That pretty much locks out that rock now with the way the rocks are staggered there. So Nova Scotia will play under their other red guard.
Yeah, likely looking to put this one top four as well. If they could have two fully buried, it'd be a pretty good result.
This one's really curling.
And this one won't over, but they do drag it
For third shot,
past
I
that.
believe.
Yeah, past that top yellow there. Does leave a double.
Yeah, it does. It's always interesting the way curling shots work, eh? Just when you think you're out of it, you're in it again.
Yeah, and how ends can shape up, like that rock there that's fully buried. It looked inaccessible, or at least would require more than one shot to get it. But now about half a rock, a little less. Yeah, should get it. Is the possibility of a jam, but even if that happens, would remove one stone and leave one at least behind the tee, so it would be still a great result. Skip stones here in the second. This is an important one here. The double attempt. They have to hit this one high if they want to make the double.
It's curling.
This one will over curl on them, and will remove one red stone there, but not really the one they were after. Tough to get at it now. Their own yellow stone that's a little deeper in the house, actually preventing them, I think, from playing, at least getting that one onto nose. You might be able to squeak by and promote that high yellow into it, but that'd be quite a tough shot.
So I think, yeah, Nova Scotia is just going to play around to the 4 foot around their guard on the outside, and then I think Alberta will have an opportunity either to freeze down to it or just bump up one of their guards in the front on the top house there.
Yeah, if this is made even top 4. A bump up from Alberta, though, could be quite tough to remove. If they bump their own stone right on the nose, they could send it right to the top of the button. And would require a double to get out, and of course on both yellow stones as well, so if you stuff that. First, this one has to be made, though, before we see those decisions, so.
I think this is the first one this far out, so might be a little bit stiffer out here.
Yeah, a little more frost out there, I think. This one's not. Yeah, we'll just come up to the guard, so. Looks like they're looking at playing the tap here rather than going around. They've had a few down this path, though. They did have the freeze attempt down there, so this should be a fairly, although you'll need a little more weight, should be a similar path. They should know at least where it starts to move. Last of Alberta's stones now in this second end. Calling just past T-line weight, that's a good sign. You want to bump this to around the T-line. It's got to move a little bit, but it goes now.
Line looks really good.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure it's got the weight.
Get it. Over curl just a touch on them. They are the shot stone, it looks like. So they'll have a look here. It's a little bit hard to tell, but I think that yellow's just a touch closer to that forefoot. It is open, but have to be careful how you hit this here. It's close enough to that red that you could jam if you hit this a little high.
It's not a big port there either, so yeah, it's going to be
You
just
almost have
accuracy.
to get close to that high side, and that's a little dangerous. You can
That's
hit
right.
sliver off, but hit half a rock, and that will jam. That one, really nice weight by Alberta. It just over curled just a touch on them there at the end as it hits just off the nose. It looked really close to nose, but last couple feet there, it moved about an inch off.
Yep.
But weight almost perfect there. Final stone now here in the second end, facing a yellow counter. Nova Scotia looks to just remove the stone. This one looks close.
I think it's gonna do it. That should be 2. Should it?
Yeah, indeed, it looks like that. So it'd be 2 for Nova Scotia here in the second end. So they'll take the lead by 1. Alberta will take hammer into the third. So we see the replay of it there, and nice shot. Good weight there. It hit it a little high, but never really got anywhere close to that their own stone. So. Yeah, this looks like this will be a close one here. Of course, within 1 at the moment, but continues with similar results through the rest of this game. This will be tight all the way to the finish. I expect we'll see a fair amount of close games here, especially in these finals and the bronze medal games. So I imagine not going to be too large of discrepancies here. We'll have to see, of course, but certainly on our feature, a tight one.
Probably wanted that one to stop a little bit sooner, but
Nice thing there, though. First rock at the end, so unlikely that Could be much difference anyways. They'll
That's
look to
right.
just remove this stone. So if you're going to put it one behind the tee, maybe your very first stone of the end is probably the best one to do it.
Right.
So that one will now end up just off nose. Quebec picks up 2 in our men's gold medal game, so they'll trail by 1. Ontario takes the hammer into the third as they lead 3-2. Another hit just off the nose. Expect this being an odd end. We'll likely see Alberta looking for the blank.
Yeah, just dial in that control or that board weight, and then when you get down to the later ends, you've got it in your back pocket. So
another one there, and rolls a little to the side, but it's actually starting to move the rocks around now later in the end is certainly usually an advantage. If you can make your opponent throw into a new path, especially if you have the hammer, you can often force a miss out of them and try and generate 2.
in our bronze medal game for the men, Northern Ontario stole 3, so they're up 6-0 after 2.
It's our 8-end game, so lots of chances for teams to get themselves back into it. We've seen a lot of really great comebacks this week from down 4 and 5 points, and so always neat to see those games that look like they might be starting to be a bit of a runaway, and suddenly the team scores a big one as well and makes it competitive. So now we've got play on the other side of the sheet as we did a couple stones ago, and this one will get removed, and
Oh,
it
that's in there.
just sticks around. That's actually a really nice spot. They'll have to roll back in now. They won't be able to just nose that. That wouldn't be in the rings. Certainly if you're looking to make it harder for the other team, the ones just nibbling on the very edges of their rings is always a good spot to put them in. Throwing to the wings, always, even as if you know the ice, can sometimes be a little bit of a guess.
It's a perfect roll there too.
Yeah, that
2
one will
well shots in a row.
also just be in the rings.
Would you like this? Let's stick with this.
Quebec ladies lead Yukon 3-1 after 2 ends of play, after Quebec will steal 1 in the second. Yukon with hammer in the third. This one looks close here, so they'll likely just hang it on the nose, and no movement from that one there. Trade hits back and forth here in the third end. This one looked to run a little wide, but
Should stick around, and it does.
just right on the edge of the 12, near the tee. Now another hit towards the edge of the wings here. I always find teams have to be careful with these stones. It's often deceptive when you're throwing the stone from the hack. You look at that stone and often it can seem farther out than it is, and easy to throw them tight to the broom, but this one looks good as it'll hit it right on the nose.
Yeah, and I find some people will try and turn them in because they see that it has to curl quite a bit, and that when you do that, it just enhances the curl, and it usually misses or hit and roll out for sure, at least. So no, that was a really well thrown rock.
Yeah, there's just something about those wings as you sort of look at them from the hack. It really seems, I think actually one of the toughest shots to master in curling is those hits towards the wings. Those are often, even at the elite level, those are the ones that you see missed.
I would agree. That's why you'll see some teams will shy away from throwing the in-outs. They'll just throw the interns from the wings, right?
So get that one on the nose as well. So far, nothing really in play here.
It's great to see all the people that have traveled from all over the country to help support their family and friends that are playing on this event. And we say the Canada Cup was sold out, but yeah, up in the broadcast booth here, it's full up here too.
Really neat kind of communal event, certainly all the teams sitting around and chatting after the games, and really neat to see them, really no matter the results, still great sportsmanship and lots of neat stories, I'm sure, from coast to coast. That one will just sneak out of play, but they'll have a second look. It's close. I think it's out. So believing it's out, Nova Scotia now on their final stone will have a chance just to try out draw weight again and put it in the paint and force Alberta to throw their last and attempt the blank. Anywhere in the rings here will do. There's nothing else in. This would certainly indicate for sure that Nova Scotia believing that that one off there is not in the rings at all, as they'd certainly hit it if it was. This one though will slide through the rings. I'm sure Alberta will have maybe one last look there, but it'll be going right through the rings. So they won't need to throw a difficult shot here, just throw it through the house with good weight here and get the blank.
If that yellow was just a little bit more over him, you maybe consider the split, but it's just too far over.
Yeah, no real way to get it into the rings.
That's
It's
right.
if it was higher even, you could certainly do that, but so they'll put this one through here, just feeling out this path towards the boards here, and so that goes through. They may, yeah, they'll kick that away. So a blank for Alberta. They'll carry hammer into the fourth end. That'll be a good result for them. They'll like to score a couple in an even end. So often the strategy. So well played in by both teams, though. Lots of good hits made out to those wings.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to have a few more rocks in play this end, so we will see.
Still at the moment, 2-1 for Nova Scotia.
Mine's really good.
Looking, I think, for a center guard on this one, although well, they'll get it over there, so good effort by the front end. They swept that one most of the way down. So will serve as a high center.
Wait only. Looks like lock.
Do you find putting one in the top 12 is the way to go on this, or go a little bit deeper in?
I think top 12, top 8, yeah, I think given how high this is, you don't want to leave it really deep. Of course, a buried stone is still always useful, but this one will poke out the other side, though. Weight was really good. Like we said, they're just coming just to the top 8, but did over curl on them there, so Nova Scotia will be able to see all of this. So we'll get this one by the guard, and we'll see where they roll to. And back out the other way, so we'll see if Alberta now can get the little roll underneath. Even about half a rock would be a good result. So often happens as trying to get really close to that guard. We can often see quite a bit of back and forth.
That's
and
right.
see if the trend continues on this stone. By the guard. And back out the other side. So see how long they can keep this one going. As it's in, I would say, just about the same spot as it was before, so it should be the same path here for Nova Scotia. Surprising how often actually something like this happens, but teams, whether it's chasing a hit like this or teams chasing the forefoot but coming up just a couple feet deep, it's
Yeah, it's a game of inches, that's for sure, and that's all it takes.
this one by the guard by a little more. This one quite close now, and so won't be back to the other side, but I think still an opportunity to get underneath that high guard, and would be pretty tough to remove. We'd end up full 12 there, just about half, 3/4 of a rock roll over, should be fully buried. So watch this one maybe as it starts to move over. It can be tempting to move it right away as it looks close to the guard, but a little more weight, so it'll hang a little more.
That's right.
And
Can you still see all of it? Do you want to try forward or still control? Control. Okay.
someone's got to get under this guard here at some point, I think.
Yep. I think if it was a little bit more underneath the guard, I think then they would consider just drying around it. But because you can see pretty much all of it, it's the right call at this point.
Because now even if they don't get underneath, you can't even just nose it anymore and even be in the rings. I don't think this one will get underneath, and they'll roll sideways. Now, opportunity to hit that one and roll underneath, probably to around the top 8 foot there, where you just saw the broom get tapped. So once again, an opportunity to get underneath this guard with a hit and roll. Really, if this guard weren't there, it would look really the same as the other end, but
I think some people would have maybe considered maybe just ignoring the rock in the rings and just drawing one around the guard instead.
I think because this guard is so high, the teams are and almost gets it there. We've seen a rock there before. But I think with the guard being as high as it is, that Alberta thinking better just to remove the stone. Certainly they could make the draw tons of room to do so, but you know, even coming top 4 would leave lots of space for Nova Scotia to get around and maybe freeze or play a little tap. So wanting maybe, I think, just to keep it clean. Really, other than that guard, there's not a lot going on in the house.
That's right. That was good control there.
Yeah, good weight. So I feel like I've said this before this end, but opportunity for a hit and roll from Alberta. One of these stones, surely.
This is the one.
Yes, okay. Still in good spot though, where if you do get it, it'd be tricky to remove. These teams both have been so close with it, just getting almost underneath, but
That's right.
curls up now, and
Ooh, there you go.
so there we go. This is the one. You were right, as they will get this stone now fully buried after,
You can't see anything, can you?
7 attempts.
I think, yeah, I was just trying to count them up. I think we're around there, but really nice shot there, as they'll get it fully buried underneath, and so we'll just bite the top of the 8.
Where are we? Top 8. Okay. It's 4 foot, we're good.
Men's scores update for you here. The gold medal game between Quebec and Ontario. Ontario picks up 2, so they'll lead 5-2. And the Northern Ontario Yukon game, there's been 3 straight threes for Northern Ontario, so they'll lead by 9 after 3.
And in our game, Nova Scotia just racked on the yellow in the top of the house there. Otherwise, I think the weight was perfect.
Yeah, really didn't move it at all, just about an inch over to the left.
You got it, buddy, go! You got it, go! Yes, Nanette!
Getting the
Another
hit and roll, so feeling it now on the hit and rolls is 2 great stones there by Samantha Davies, and she'll get 2 buried for her team with her 2 rocks. So really nice judge there by the whole team on those with the line calling, and really nice weight.
Yeah, I think time for Tanya Phillips here to bail her team out here. To just draw one right on top on the button there, and
Yeah, even if she can't access it after, even just cutting them down to 1 would be good. If a force here for Nova Scotia would be a good result. They'll want to get on this a little bit early, I think, knowing that their last one was really close. I think they'd rather at least get to this stone, even if they move it a little far. Certainly better than the alternative.
it's close.
Yeah, this looks like a really good stone as long as it's by this top one. Oh, and it is. So they'll actually sit for, it's really close, but I think red might be the shot stone now.
And it's not a tough out either.
No, to move it past without touching your own, you almost have to get to the inside edge, and you can, but boy, will it have to be tight to that top yellow. Certainly with a little nudge weight, you could move both of them around, and probably just a little scrape on your yellow probably wouldn't move it too far, but don't want to hit it too much.
That's right. Something like backline weight and just push it back to the back of the house and get the little bit of roll inside. I think that would be a really good shot.
Even if they could get to nose, probably would maybe just scrape the yellow, but would leave your rocks in a pretty good spot, and
That's right.
may leave a double, but even if that's made, they would have the one at the top 8 to potentially score for them as well. So if they can just bump this back, doesn't need to remove it from play really, just tap it back about 2 feet. This one looks really close. Got to move a little now, but yeah, nice shot there. And
Yeah, they're
Actually,
sitting 3. That's
yeah.
the shot you wanted.
actually maybe not too bad to get a little movement on your yellow as well. It does make the double a lot trickier now that they're in that angle. If that yellow was over back where it was, it'd be almost just a nose double.
right.
So now likely would have to roll out, I think, to make the double. And it's a tricky one at that.
I think she just wants to hit and roll into the 4-foot at this point under the cover and force Alberta to draw for 1.
Does have to be careful about this jam here at the back. If she gets it just off nose, would hit the red at the back, and if this final Nova Scotia stone, if it's left open, could leave just a pick out for a bundle. So
Yep.
even half buried is a really good result here. It would likely cause Alberta to at least roll out, and so probably only give up 2 at that point, and that probably be happy with that now, facing 3. Final stone from Nova Scotia in the 4th. And they're on this out of her hand. This is looking tight. Will it? Oh, and just a redirect. So a chance for a big score of 4 for Alberta, needing to get just a little more than full 12. And they do have some backing as well on their own stones.
Yep.
Just unfortunate there by them. I think the weight choice they used was close, but just a little tight out of her hand. And so, fortunately, will lead to the overcurl. We will be taking a 4th end break after this. The teams will have a few moments to chat amongst themselves and refuel a little bit. And so that'll be about 5 minutes long. So already sitting 3, just needing full 12 for the 4, and has her own catcher. As long as she's not super heavy, which it doesn't appear she'll be, she can coast down right on top of her own.
I think it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, this looks like, even without a catcher, looks like really good weight, and Alberta's had some nice draws. There's 2 hit and rolls critical in this end, so they'll pick up a big 4, and they'll lead 5-2 now, headed into the 4th end break. Nova Scotia will have hammer when we come back, the second half of this game, so we'll see you in just a moment.
Curling teaches as much about life as it does about sport. Club, team, house, lead, rock. These are the words of our sport, words we embody, powerful words, words that speak to everything we represent: respect, togetherness, strength. Our games begin with a handshake and a kind word. We congratulate our opponents when they make a good shot. We remain silent when they falter. We even call our own fouls. When we win, we celebrate with modesty, with humility. We own our mistakes. When defeated, we concede without shame. Win or lose, we hug with abandon, because we genuinely care about our fellow athletes. Curling doesn't discriminate. The ice doesn't judge. It adapts. It accepts. Curling isn't a book to be judged by its cover. On these sheets, everyone is on the same page. It's what's on the inside that counts. The path to victory isn't always smooth. We use friction as an advantage and adversity as an opportunity. The battle is within ourselves, to improve, to advance. We dream big. We play with heart. We focus on these circles and imagine podiums in far-off places. Curling is what the world needs right now. Connection to one another, one team, one community. Curling is more than a sport. It's a lifestyle, a philosophy, a movement, a belief in self, in kindness, in good health, and in good fun. Supported by a passionate community steeped in tradition and united in pride. In a game of inches, every move counts. Are you ready to make yours? The support of the curling community makes it possible for thousands of kids across Canada to follow their dreams, on and off the ice. Thank you for giving generously.
One might say I was born to overcome challenges. 2 months premature, in and out of the hospital, and a heart condition. My parents call me their miracle baby. As with all survivors, I searched for my place in this world, and I found it here. This pebbled ice is where I battle now, and at only 12, I am already a 5-year veteran of this sport. I have my sights set on the Olympics. I will push hard to get there. The only size that matters in this sport is the size of your dreams.
Curling! The game with the ice, and the rocks, and the sweeping, and the yelling. Each game starts with a handshake. Then, 2 teams of 4 people take turns throwing 44-pound stones down a sheet of ice. Each team throws 8 rocks, and the team closest to the center after all the rocks are thrown will score the points. This process is repeated for 6 to 10 rounds until one team is victorious. It's just that simple. Or is it?
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the 2019 Canadian Curling Club Championships here in Leduc, Alberta. It's our ladies' final. That's our feature matchup in Alberta with a big score for her in the 4th end. Now leads 5-2. Nova Scotia has hammer here in the 5th end. I'm Denver Suddy.
I'm Chris Colliday.
4 sheets in action right now. The men's and ladies' gold and bronze medal games. And our feature, really, that 4 came about from 2 perfect hit and rolls by Samantha Davies off of Team Alberta. Her stones just perfect positioning, and it allowed Alberta to sit 2, and really from then the control of that end, all Alberta.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be another blank or just a force or that type of a usual end, but all of a sudden, yeah, 2 really well played shots and a miss, and boom, there's a 4 spot right there. That's how easy an end can turn around.
Footage now from the men's bronze medal game just being shown as looks like, and another 3 from Northern Ontario. So now they will lead 12 over Yukon, and that's handshakes there from them. So a quick one there. So Northern Ontario men will pick up the bronze medal. Yukon will finish in a very respectable 4th place in this it's a big tournament, teams from all across Canada, and so congratulations to Northern Ontario on their bronze medal finish.
Christine Keddy is trying to draw one around her guard here. Line looks pretty good.
It's a good stone there, almost fully buried. They can come down to it, but good weight judgment there by the sweepers. So Kendra Nakagama here throws her first stone of the end.
This one took off.
Boy, really nice scrub there by the front end. That almost looked like it would still get by, and actually almost still ends up in a pretty good spot.
Just straightened it out there. It just didn't, yeah, just barely grazed it.
Nudged the red though, so actually does still sit for a second shot there with that rock. So Alberta sitting 2. So not the worst result from that shot there, certainly.
Angela Petipes will try and probably hit on the nose here.
Hit and roll just to the top of the button. Alberta will seek to remove that stone and see maybe if they look for a roll as well, but looks to be control weight here for Alberta. This one looking good as he'll hit it just off the nose. Well, there is a double there, but you have to be a little careful. If you hit it a little high on one side, you could end up jamming your own stone. So don't even have to go for the double. Even a hit and roll here is actually a pretty good result if you can get it a roll underneath.
It's actually a good spot to roll into because now the forces Alberta to be very careful with this rock.
Yeah, pretty easy to jam if you get anywhere near nose or even a little inside. Hits the own, but actually that red spins a little back at the end, and so I think now yellow sits for shot.
Would you freeze in that pocket there?
You could, certainly. The other option, even though they are only second shot, is to split the rings. Alberta still have to remove one of them, and still a chance, actually, even though they're only second shot, to get 2 here. So by keeping their own stones in the rings, I think going to the other side. Looks like they'll be going for a bit of a bump onto this one, though. Could leave a fairly flat double. Just a little high there, and so we'll roll out. Close to sticking around, but not quite. So Alberta will look to just remove this stone now. Gold medal men's game now. See some action from that here as Ontario picks up 1 more point. They'll lead 6-2 after 4 ends. Quebec does have the hammer headed into 5, so still a chance for them to get back into this. Their last stone, their draw, very, very close, within about 2 inches of making that draw, and that would certainly have lowered the differential here, but they're only down by 4 and half a game still for them to play with hammer. Chance to still get back into it. After 4, the women's bronze medal game. Quebec women 6-0 so far over Yukon. So we see some footage from that now. Their draw also coming light, it looks like, and so that resulted in a steal for Quebec. Of course, in this gold medal game here, both these teams will be leaving with some hardware, certainly, and certainly a well-played week for both of them just to make it here. Top 2 teams out of 14, so certainly an impressive week by both of them, no matter what the result here.
Yeah, it's great for these men's and women's teams to treat it like a mini Brier, but at a club level. That's just something that a lot of club level players will never get the opportunity to go to a Brier or a Scotties, so it's kind of a neat, very, very cool event for the club championships.
Yeah, the long road to get here too, not only having to win from within their clubs, but also the provincial playdowns. I myself have made it to the provincials, never made it out of the province at this event, but certainly it's a long year in terms of league play. That's often how these teams get out of their clubs, by winning their league, and then of course to win an entire provincial championship as well. And now these 2 teams here in the final, so long road.
We'll see if Tanya can draw one in behind the Alberta Rock there.
Yeah, really a fairly quiet end so far, but you know, if this is buried, we could all of a sudden see a chance for 2 for Nova Scotia, and that'd be a great bounce back by them to bring it within 1. Certainly a score of 2 would keep this game very competitive.
They're saying about T-lines, so that's, line's looking pretty good.
Need a little more movement, which it is getting. Little finish at the end here, and that's a pretty nice stone there by Nova Scotia, as they'll get one almost fully buried to the top of the button. So for Alberta, they may be able to see some of it. So two options. That guard there is fairly tight. They could try to run that in. If they were able to get that around the nose, could leave themselves buried. But without hammer, probably likely just looking to play the tap. They can see probably about a third of that rock, and so for them, they don't mind at all if they roll out here. They'd be fairly happy, I'm sure, with the blank as well, and maintain their 3-point lead, and so they'll look to just remove this stone.
Can you not see very much?
No, I don't think she likes it. I think we're gonna have a different shot.
Yeah, taking a second look at it here. This is an important one. Could result in, if they do remove that red rock, either force a steal or a blank, or could end up giving up 2. Looks like they will be trying that the yellow raise onto the red. If she noses it, they'll make it. May not leave their stone buried, but would remove the red, and just a sliver high would, I think, leave their stone just about fully buried.
Means the girl.
Everybody go!
Looks close.
Everybody go!
Will she catch it? Not quite. That one doesn't quite come up enough for them there. A good attempt. Certainly, I think the other shot to come around, only seeing a third of that stone would be a really tough shot. And as we see the replay there, did get quite close. That one needed to really only move maybe about an inch more over, a little bit more curl, and that would have easily made that. So needing the paint now for 2.
Yeah, she just threw it, so I would expect her to make this.
Yeah, and not even needing, really just throw the same weight as long as it's in the house.
No backing. No backing yet. Well, if you have to.
I think the sweepers like it.
Yeah, this one looks good here, as this will just coast into the house. So 2 points back now for Nova Scotia after giving up that 4. They'll trail only by 1 point now, as Alberta will maintain a 1-point lead and take the hammer into the 6th end. Interesting now to see Alberta's strategy. They are up 1 with the hammer, so do still have that lead, but they'll likely look to score their 2 here and try and get that 3-point lead back. This one's light here from Nova Scotia. That one won't quite make it over.
Well, as a customary tradition at a club level, if you hog a rock, you got to buy a round for your team.
Yeah, that's right. So that'll be happening up here after the game.
Let it work. Yep.
Lots of friends and family out as well. So
That's a big round to buy for.
yeah, I was going to say, does that extend to the everyone watching? Corner guard there by Alberta. They'll look to generate some offense here and get a few stones in play. that's a good positioning for it there too. It's about halfway tight, so nice spot. Unlikely now we'll look to see a center guard from
Where are we? Night.
Nova Scotia.
Let it curl if you can unless you want to drag it. Okay, go then. Go then. Bring it to center, girls. Okay.
Looks like they'll try and come around their, Alberta will come around their own.
Yeah, and should be a fairly similar line, probably just a little bit more weight.
Gotta go. You're right.
I think the weight is close on this one. I think this will be more about the line here.
Yeah,
Starting to get pretty good.
looks really good.
Gotta curl a bit.
That's pretty close to fully buried there. May be able to see just a little bit of it, but good rock by them there. Always satisfying to see a rock just curl around a guard, and
It's the name of the game.
Line's nice. Gotta be right on it, go for line. Hard.
This one's really curling.
maybe a
It's
little
light,
more so light than I think the line there.
Alberta's going to go way wide here. Got to be careful with that. It's definitely a little stickier out in the wings.
Yeah, I like this call though with that red coming up there. Their own yellow is fully buried and behind staggered guards. As long as they can get this even to the same spot as their last one. Might have a little more though. This one sounds like they're calling a little heavier. Even back eight's not a bad rock here. Does put some pressure on Nova Scotia if they have a few rocks in play. But this one will not quite get buried, but will have nice weight, so they'll know that path for next time. They've got nice top 8 weight there.
Yes. No. Yes. Little down. Whoa.
Looks pretty good.
We'll see if they get any roll. Not quite. Chance now maybe for a little hit and roll, but
I think that weight was the right weight call. Definitely, it gives it a chance to curl in there, because any more than that, and it just won't allow it to curl in there.
yeah, I think likely actually just a similar path, more weight, but similar path to the Alberta draw that we saw down there, and both of them close finish, but not quite enough to get tucked underneath. So
Gotta curl.
they'll for sure have a piece of this one. We'll see if they're able to get, and actually not bad there to roll to the outside. I think actually more dangerous to leave it closer there, as that you'd only need to roll a little bit. This one provides the opportunity a little more tricky for Nova Scotia. If they roll not enough, they won't be buried, and if they roll too far, they won't be buried. So
That's right.
a little more precision required on this one. This one will be a
Roll it
little
out.
high. See if it'll not quite stick around. So Alberta now can look at that path, and I think they should be close with it now. They've had several stones down there, so I would imagine the weight should be close on this one, and now we'll just see if they're able to adjust that line.
Yeah, I think there's been enough rocks down that path now that it's definitely keened up, so it should be the same as down the 4-foot path.
Line's good.
Yeah, certainly close to it, so more the line on this one. I think Alberta's had close draw weight all game anyway.
Line's good. We
So again, really good weight there. I think maybe just swept it a little bit too much early. It did actually look not tight out of her hand, but it did look as it came down that path that it might be getting close to the guard, but really not quite moving much there around the middle of the sheet. I think it fooled them early. It looked like it might move more than it did. Hit and roll chance now again, like we've had in the past couple ends down on the other side of the sheet now.
There it is.
And now Nova Scotia will make theirs. So they'll sit for second shot, almost fully buried under that off-center guard.
Just freeze down to it.
This one starts to move now. So we've seen them really start to hook into center. I mentioned earlier that around the fifth end, they started to move about halfway, and now we're seeing that. Lots from the hog line in. So one won't come up to sit second shot, but it is a rock that they could use, certainly. And can't really play the double there. You'd certainly jam on your own stone.
I think Nova Scotia's considering playing something like a low hit and just try and skinny the two guards to try and move that covered Alberta rock out of the way.
Yeah, it's certainly there. It is quite difficult as you can't throw much weight, so we'll have to certainly be mindful of the curl. Oftentimes you only have to worry about getting past the first guard, but I think if they do throw this type of weight, not only do they have to worry about just squeaking by the red, but also that yellow as well, as we could see it start to move. So even though it is farther over and it is behind it, a realistic possibility actually to tick either of those. So this is a tricky shot. If they make it though, could be a really nice payoff. Probably leave them sitting two. And
yeah, it's all going to be in the weights in this one, because if you hit it too thin, you'll probably just roll out. If you hit it too thick, I don't know how you could hit it too thick, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's quite an option on this one. You need a little more curl than I think we'd get past those guards, but really this is about getting past the guards. I think if you do that and you're close to the guards, you'll make this shot. Watching this here.
It's getting close.
Be by those guards, but it starts to move over now.
Really
They've
nice
got
shot.
it.
And the roll. Beautiful.
Great shot there, and that'll help get them out of trouble. Nova Scotia now sits two. Alberta will look to move some red granite. This is
really
close.
Good. Looks really good. Nice shot.
Nice rock there. That's a really good result. That's the stone they were looking to hit, and that's the one that is a much better result, certainly. moving either of them wouldn't have been bad, but just gets by that red and leaves their own rock buried, and that other red, hard to play much of a tap on that, certainly, and would hard. So we'll start looking at maybe this double, but this is tough. So 2 great shots in a row, one from each team. And update for you, the men's gold medal final, Quebec picks up 2, so they'll be down by 2. It's 6-4 for Ontario as they play on here. Timeout called by Nova Scotia.
And in our bronze medal game for the women, Yukon got 3 in the last end, so they're only down 6-3 now.
Yeah, and still 3 ends to go for them, so starting to see some tighter games now, certainly. And on our feature matchup, within 1 point now, so these last shots here really critical, especially with Alberta having the hammer here. Nova Scotia's got to think carefully about this one. The reason that double is so tough as well is because you need to hit that yellow guard on the inside edge, and to do that you have to get awfully close to that red guard. It's certainly there, but that's a tricky one.
And they have decided to stick with the same shot. And
I think really one of the only options, but I think good choice for a timeout there. Good, you know, just wanting to discuss it as a team, and even though they're going with the same shot, they're just a little more aware of what they need to do for this. This is close. It starts to move now, but they're by the guard, and so close. Really good attempt there by Nova Scotia. As we look at the replay here, and actually over curled on them there. I got underneath that that guard, actually past that red guard by the time it hit the stones, and so really good scrub though by Nova Scotia. That was awfully close, a sliver more towards nose, and they had that no problem. So Alberta needing full 8 now for 2, and they'll be happy if they can make that to take back their 3-point lead.
And kind of an unconventional drawing path as well. This is not a common way to draw down for your 2, but obviously it's there.
Yeah, just to the forefoot, but certainly not that it's a tight port, but it feels a little awkward to look at it from the hack. I think her line is good here, certainly. I mean, as long as they're through that port, it's really more about the weight here, I think. Just got to move off this guard, and it just does. It has to sit down now, but should be no problem, as she'll get it right to the top of the button after just sneaking by that guard. And
had to wait for it forever.
Really a lot of curl once it moved off it, though. It got all the way across the center line, and as we look at the replay here, just squeaks by that guard, but look at the movement there as it goes by, gets all the way over center line and actually starts to move towards the forefoot line, so certainly finishes here. And so great shot. So Alberta will lead 7-4 after 6 ends. Nova Scotia will have hammer in the 7th.
And yep, they're that magical 3, so I think they'll be playing for the top forefoot there.
Yep, they'll look to just remove their opponent's stones. It's so common when they're up by 2, you often still see them play the center guards, but as soon as they're up by 3 or more, you start seeing them just throw them in the rings and remove any stones their opponent puts in. Nova Scotia will look for corner guards here, and they'll get one there. Nice shot there, so they'll set that up. Once again, if they can look to score their 2 here, this should be tight all the way to the end.
Yeah.
I think, though, certainly looking to score. This isn't, it's late enough in the game now, being the 7th end, that they won't be looking to blank and hammer in 8th. There's nothing to save hammer for. Really just, if they were tied or been down by 1, you may see them go for the blank to ensure it in 8, but down by 3, they will look to score. This one will sneak by the top one, and actually, if it sticks around, which it does, that's actually a pretty good rock to have another one buried underneath. So sitting 2, Alberta.
Having another guard here is not the end of the world either. This one definitely curled early.
Corner and a center now there for Nova Scotia. Alberta likely, yeah, and they'll look just to put another one in the rings. Top of the house. I like this call, Chris. If you don't need to worry about sitting too many, but you do want to keep the pressure on, and so wanting to likely have at least 2 yellow stones in the house at all times, and so putting a 3rd one, top 12, top 8 here, I think is a smart call.
And right now, the path to the 4-foot is basically closed off, especially with this, the way this looks like it'll turn out. So Nova Scotia's got some work to do to improve their position here.
Little hit and rub off, so actually pretty good result there as well. If it had ended up where they had called, would have been good, but good plan B here, as they'll end up about half buried under that guard, and so 2 rocks in the 4-foot there. I think that's the trouble. You set up the center guards as Nova Scotia, but at some point you can't ignore these stones, but still lots of opportunity to move a little bit of yellow granite and then try and use your guards. Still lots of rocks to come.
Playing the skinny double.
I don't think that was the call, but and she'll just get the 1 and roll out. And a little perplexed there. I think that certainly curled more than they anticipated. The weight was pretty good out of her hand. I don't think needing to throw a ton more there. As we've seen, you throw them hard weight around that 4-foot and may not get any movement at all, so. This one's got tons of line.
You do not have to go yet.
I think weight is close, but this does need to move it. It'll start to go now. This one actually getting quite a bit of curl. It's a little deeper than I think they would have liked, but actually does come up to the center line, and considering how far out that was, about halfway down the sheet, it's starting to move. We're now moving into the around the 4.5 feet of curl, sort of towards the maximum amount we've seen. And late in the game, that's not uncommon. That's typically when you start to see that extra action. So the paths start to get played more and more.
think if they could hit this and roll over behind their higher guard.
Tough to get a ton of movement, but if you could hit it a little bit high, and actually might chip the second yellow as well. Double is there, but would leave their shooter exposed. See if which one they'll. Here. They'll be looking to hit the outside, so we'll make contact with two of them. We'll not quite spill them both, but a little bit unfortunate there. The other yellow, had it stopped rolling a little bit sooner, they would have been able to get through that port. It's fairly wide, and had it gone a little farther on the outside as well, but as it stands, that Alberta stone is fully buried behind that guard. Could come around that guard. It is fairly high, so probably with a little tap weight could get to it if they need to, but Alberta will sit 3 now, I believe, as their stone, I believe that it's just hanging on at the back 12. Yep, as we get the overhead view there, it is. So Alberta sitting 3. Opportunity now for a hit and roll, and if you could get it under that center guard, certainly would be tricky to remove. That center guard's pretty tight for them, so they'll get that one just off nose, so not quite the hit and roll they're looking for. Alberta now looking just to remove this stone. They are sitting 2, so rather they're sitting 1 and 3, but have 2 stones in at the moment, and certainly would like just to keep those stones in play, at least 2 of them. They'll want the force here, and so likely at least one of those stones will stay protected. That one under the guard, I doubt we'll be able to see any sort of doubles on, so this one will go as they'll roll it. They'll get it about half buried, so good result there. Boy, a little more roll, and it's completely gone.
That's right. Yeah, they had good control of that shot. They watched it most of the way in, and the sweepers got on it right at the end, and it's a good team shot right there.
Yeah, great communication, and that's certainly something we've seen all week here, this Curling Club Championship.
I'd almost be tempted to draw down to the yellow that shot rock now.
Yeah, you can certainly get through that port, and if you could get on the corner would be good result. It is a little bit tight, but the guard angles are in a way that it does at least favor the draw through that port rather than if you were coming the other way.
Yeah, she's looking at running in her guard into the second shot there.
Be a good shot if they make it. They'd have something to work with there in the house.
To curl.
Even opening it up. Oh, it'll just... Yeah, and you know, with the weight that had, all it would have had to do is clip that to get it out of there.
Right.
But the good thing is, though, now for Nova Scotia, that that center line is completely open now, no guards there, and so the replay there so close. What would you do now if you're Alberta? You've got 3 stones in play. You can certainly look at the guard or even coming a little tight.
I think I would put a guard kind of halfway just in between the center line and guarding the right side, just so it guards the path to the shot stone plus half of the rock that's the second shot. Because, I mean, Nova Scotia's can't really do anything with either one of those rocks the way they are right now if there's a guard there.
Yeah, as it stands, I mean, certainly they could absolutely still freeze up to a shot stone there that's just on the, biting the tee line. It's close, but if Alberta, like you say, can get about half of that stone under cover, it'd be a really good position for them. Quebec picks up 2 more in the women's game, so they'll lead Yukon 8-3.
Needs to curl. You can go. You can go. Needs to curl.
This one's got to move, as you hear them saying there. It's got to curl. The weight looks close. They might be a little in, a little warm. Readjusting the angles might not be bad here. This, and that's
Is there
not
a triple there?
Yeah, there might be.
But it really wouldn't help you because you'd roll out, so you need rocks in play at this point.
It's a steal of 1 by the Quebec men in the men's gold medal game. So they now trail only by 1 after 6 ends. It's a 6-5 game, so that one I imagine would be quite tight to the finish as well. Some steals from both teams there, so that should make it a close one.
My shooter's got to stay though, hey? I don't think you're going to be shot if you roll there. Okay, let's just get rid of that then.
2 stones left for Nova Scotia.
Here. That's there.
Be interesting to see where they choose to put them here. They do have a few options. Yeah, there's a lot of yellow stones in there, but with 1 good rock here, that could
They'll be shot still.
still really leave themselves some shots. Tricky to get to, but certainly like to at least score here. Even a score of 1 brings them back within 2, and we've certainly seen comebacks from more than 2, and so wanting to at least have a shot to score is the big thing on this end.
Play this, roll to here, and then play that after. I like that.
I think if they were just to hit the rock that's on the 4-foot right now and just roll just in front of the shot rock, I think that's just, it's a setup shot at this point. You can't solve all the problems with 1 rock here, unfortunately. So
No, and rolling a little bit and leaving it could make it tough to remove, and could actually still leave a shot for 2.
I think if they put it there, I think Alberta might just guard it and force
Yep.
Nova Scotia to just make a tough shot.
Yeah, just make them draw in likely would be. This looks really close. Oh, it'll roll a little too far, and it's a little tough to tell. I believe Alberta is sitting 2, but it is very close for second shot. My money's on 2 Alberta counters, though, at the moment.
Me too.
Sometimes the rings can be a little off, but here at this Leduc Curling Club, Rhonda and her team of ice makers done a fantastic job all week, and when the officials were measuring the rings, as they do before any event like this, from the pinhole, just to check how true they are, they said it's some of the best and most precise rings they've ever seen at a curling club, and so keeping that in mind, I'm maintaining 2 yellow counters at the moment. Played here many times over the years, and the ice is always great, and certainly this week it's been fantastic. Duke Recreation Center has played host to a number of national championships and provincial events over the years. Just last year hosting the Curl for Canada. We had 4 national events going on at one time, including mixed doubles, a wheelchair. So and this year, of course, we now have the Curling Club Championships and the Canada Cup. But they've had ones in the past as well. In 1991, they hosted the Pepsi Juniors. In 1994, I believe they hosted a mixed championship. So lots has gone on. So I think now looking just to cover up that 4-foot. This is less about sitting another shot as it is really just about blocking that path. This one's moving nicely. Got to go a little more, though.
You're right up.
Coming over nicely now.
Right up. You got it. Go. Thanks for not losing.
So gets to 4th shot, but I think more importantly there than sitting 3 is really that it covers that path, although may leave a bit of a it'll be tricky, but I believe there is, you can get to that yellow stone that's shot there and roll just slightly in, and that would give you your 1.
Yeah, I think that's the only option at this point.
Really, it's more of a heavy draw to that yellow than it is a hit and roll. It's really, as long as you come up to it and nudge it, you'll be shot rock.
I think Nova Scotia's just making sure they're all on the same page with the weight and the line. And
Yes, that broom looks to be right on center line. It will be important, I think, here to just on a technical side of things, on the release of this stone, making sure it is being released really just off or on the middle of the center line. I think if critically, rocks tend to, as soon as they get off the center line, they tend to move pretty hard, and so they'll look to ride the center line a little bit here. If it's slightly off, it could start to move quite a bit further if you're, as opposed to if you're throwing this even a foot, I think, to the side, you get a lot less action.
Yep, I agree.
A little bit of weight here, though, so this is a tricky shot, though, certainly, but very much there, just needing some good weight.
Oh, it's going already.
Weight's close, but this has got to be by the guard. And it is not. And see if this might out-count actually one of the yellow stones. I don't think quite. It attempts to spin back in, but I think that's 2 yellow. 1 for sure. Kick them away, so I think it's 2. At the end of the 7th, we'll see what. We'll have a bit of a meeting, but I believe if it is 2 yellow, that'll be a 9-4 lead for Alberta. Looks like they will be throwing the stones back. Anything can happen here at these games, and I think certainly being a final and in the 8th end, I think throw them back at least, until you get run out of stones, I think, and Alberta will just put these rocks through. I imagine that's what, if anything slips in for Nova Scotia, they'll hit it, but rocks will just fly through the rings here.
I think Nova Scotia just wants to finish on a high note in some capacity.
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, even just to get to this final, so impressive, and really it was still fairly close there. If they had scored, they would have been within 2. And
that's right.
And you know what? She had the good weight for that shot, maybe a touchdown, but really just the line on that one.
That's right.
So like to put up a guard. Can't afford to throw many, but needing 5 rocks to count.
It's too bad the throw-throughs don't count for your percentage points.
Yeah.
Easiest shot in curling.
Yeah, actually harder to hog stones, I think, intentionally than it is to. Updates for you again on the other sheets. It's Quebec still, ladies still up 8-3 over Yukon, and Ontario men up 6-5 over Quebec as they play the 7th.
Two nice even guards.
Yeah, nice placement of those stones, certainly. So this one will go through the rings. Nova Scotia now will need to start looking at putting stones in the rings. Soon, Alberta, well, next Rock will be able to start ripping these guards.
Ooh, they're saying it's hot.
Little less about exact placement here as it is just about getting stones in the rings, but
It's trying to dig in.
over to the side of the sheet, not as much play, so it might come up. And it
Just-
does, and you know what? Those biters we've seen, especially in games that have been really close, those biters have often been critical at the end. You know, a roll out by a team and all of a sudden you have a chance at a couple points.
It's true. Yep.
Looks like over on the women's sheet, the other women's, the bronze medal game, it looks like it's Yukon with Last Rock. I believe they're already sitting a couple. I think they're discussing looking at splitting a guard. They have a draw for 3 right now, but they trail by 5, and so if they could get a split in for 4, would bring them within 1 point.
Or just fighting? You want to do that?
So now looking to play just a biter is the call. So at the top of the house this time.
Where are we? Okay, whoa. Where are we? Are we in? Okay, all right.
This one comes down, I think just be a guard. I think they do have 4 rocks left, so the remainder of their stones do need to be in the rings. For Alberta, no need to get fancy, just remove a guard. And
Yeah, you're not reinventing the wheel at this point. Just get rid of some red rocks.
yeah, no need to overcomplicate it. Just hit anything at this point is good.
Whoa. Yep. Yep. Hard. Never off.
Not wanting to leave a guard, but yeah, they'll
Right out. Go, 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 go.
roll this one away and
Perfect shot.
needs to be in the rings now, Nova Scotia.
Let it work if you can.
Looking to get it buried, but
Let it work if you can.
Yeah, I know they're finishing big right now, so they're hoping this will finish a lot.
in the rings, really what matters right now. Alberta, now, a hit on this stone is all you need. Women's bronze now, we see the last shot from the previous end there. It just comes up light for them, unfortunately, so I believe they'll only pick up 2, but no. Trail by 3 heading into the last. So for Alberta, this stone looking good.
That should do it.
And that will be the game. Alberta will be your Women's National Curling Club champions of 2019. Nova Scotia, great match there, will take the silver medal, so congratulations to both the teams. Well played all week. Alberta, gold medal winners. They'll take home a national title. Thank you very much for watching this game. It's been a pleasure to cast for you all week. I'm Denver Suddy.
I'm Chris Colliday, signing off.